Jody Davis from Indianapolis, Indiana. Lived there my whole life. I have a wonderful husband who deals with all this and 2 kids, and they both have families, and lucky enough for them to all be in the Indianapolis area.
I'm Dawn Crawford. I'm from Northwest Indiana. I have 2 boys, ages 25 and 29, and they are in California.
Pickleball, I started probably 15 years ago, standing player. And then 9 years ago, I had a spinal stroke. So that kind of ended it for a short time. Fortunately, it was on the pickleball court. I bent over and picked up a ball. And within about 45 minutes, lost use of both legs. So I finished my game and won, but die hard here. But after I sat down, things kind of started changing. And I had no use of my legs, so immediately went to the hospital, spent a week in the hospital, and they finally figured out it was called a spinal infarct, which is like a stroke, a chip off a disc in the T910 area, went down in the vascular system, and that's what caused the issue. I spent, a week in the hospital and then 2 weeks at rehab. I think the day before I was leaving, they go, "What do you want to do? You're going back to your regular life." And I said, "I want to play tennis and I want to play pickleball." And they said, "Great, this weekend," which was in 3 days, "we'll have a sports chair for you and you can start tennis." And I'm laughing, but I went, and met a fantastic coach, group of people there, and started playing tennis. Also ran into friends of mine who I play pickleball with all the time, and they go, "We hear you're playing tennis. Why are you not back on the pickleball courts?" And I said, "Well, I don't know." And they said, "Well, we're waiting for you." So I said, "Okay." And so finally went back to that. Pickleball became my passion.
I ended up in a wheelchair when I was in an accident on a construction, in a home under construction. They hadn't placed, it's up north, so it was cold, and they hadn't put the basement stairs in the house yet, and they had heaters in the basement to warm the basement, but they covered the hole with Celotex, which is just foam board. And when I was in the house, I stepped on that and fell 10 feet into the basement and broke my back, which injured my spinal cord. I have a spinal cord injury, T11-12, paraplegia. And at the time I was 36, and my boys were 1 and 5, and a husband at home. So for me, being in rehab was, I was up in Chicago. My focus was just, I need to get home and be a mom again. I need to take care of my kids, and I want to do whatever I can do. As they got older, a little bit older, then I was had a little more time to myself, and I picked up wheelchair tennis, and then I got to play with them. Then they learned tennis, and they both were high school tennis players. And we even we have tournaments a lot of times, and we do in pickleball too, where it's called hybrid, where you have a sitting player and a standing player. And so my boys and I did that in tennis and wheelchair tennis, and then we've done it now in pickleball.
So pickleball for me started like 15 years ago. A friend of ours learned the game over in Ohio when he was doing business calls. Comes back, buys a set of 4, buys a net, but also we figured out we could use tennis courts. So we would go out a half hour ahead and either tape or chalk off the lines for the pickleball court. Wow. And so we drove everybody crazy with the bouncing balls. But, and it was fun. We had a great time. It became a social. We'd go play pickleball, and then we went out to dinner.
First year I started coming down to Pompano Community Park and met Jody and Dawn, and I saw what they were doing, and I really wanted to figure out how to play with them, how to play against them, and then we became friends.
Pickleball is an amazing community of very fun, positive people. They don't let you say, "I can't do anything." They say, "We'll figure it out. What do you need us to do so that you can get back into play?" It kind of became my happy spot. I ended up getting a job at the fitness center where we play all the time. So then I had the free membership, so. So then I'm checking everybody in every day, and they go, "Okay, what time are you playing? Are you doing the 8 o'clock session or the 2 o'clock session?" we want to play some games.
And anytime with the pickleball community, you can incorporate in, and there's no adjustments made other than, we tell people when we play with them, because we're playing with standing players all the time, we say the only difference in our game is we get 2 bounces. We don't always take 2 bounces, but we do get them. And then you could just play with anybody.
I met Jody and Dawn 3 years ago. And when I walked onto the court where you paddle up, I put my paddle in. And when the foursome went out, there were the 2 wheelchair ladies, and I thought, we got out on the court and I thought, oh my gosh, I don't want to hurt them or hit them or anything. And I said to Jody, and she said, look, the only thing you need to know is we get 2 bounces. Other than that, play your game. Well, they whipped my butt. So ever since, I've been playing with them, and they still whip my butt.
This one, she never wanted to play wheelchair tennis tournaments, but all of a sudden she's got me in pickleball, and now she's like, you got to do the U.S. Open in Naples. I said, no, I don't. Yeah, really, we need more wheelchair representation. So I did last year, and we played doubles together against other chair players, and then we had the hybrid division where we play with our standing partner against a chair and a standing. And so my youngest son came down and played with me. And so we played, and then this year my older son wants to play. There's only one of me, so I had to stick with the younger son, and then I found him another chair player, so we'll be competing against each other.
A friend of mine down here calls it pickleball is the one sport that every body can participate in. So it doesn't, it's like, doesn't matter, I love the fact that pickleball has grown so much. You get in courts, indoors and outdoors everywhere. Everybody has been really great as far as first time I went to Diadem, I went up the ramp and we're in your area where the store and everything is. And he goes, don't worry, we know how to get you onto the courts, because you kind of look. But everybody is starting to think that way,
Right.
The doorways to get in, fences to get in, the gates, and everything.
If you didn't have pickleball, I don't know how you'd meet people. You'd go to the restaurants or the bars, but it's not like when you meet people doing activities. And they're like, hey, let's have lunch, or hey, we're doing happy hour. It's just, yeah. And I think it's like that wherever you go.
Pickleball for me, affecting me mentally, I think it gave me confidence to go back out. Because, you go one day you're walking and the next day you're in a wheelchair, and just kind of your confidence. If I can go onto any pickleball court and be okay, I can go anywhere.
Yeah, and the mental health aspect for sure that was a good point, because especially being in a chair or being looked at differently, it's you are self-conscious because people stare, people look, but when you get to know people and they realize, yeah, this is just same as you. She's just sitting, or she's using a walker. It's no different. And I do think it helps the community in general, because it's just like in schools. Schools are incorporating more, whether it be autistic kids or Down's kids, or they have the buddy systems at schools. So they're introducing the fact that not everybody's the same, and it's okay. That's it. Nobody has to be afraid of those people. And it's kind of the same with any kind of disability, even as an adult. The more you're out there, and it does give you confidence to go onto a pickleball court and have people accept you and play with you, and they realize it's no different, you realize it's no different, and it helps you in the next thing you need to do.